What is up? What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the Angery Nation Podcast. We're missing some angry people tonight, but we'll get through it. But we got T in the house. We got Donnie in the house. So that's enough. We're missing Sue this evening. I'm not. What's up with Sue? I haven't talked to him even since the hurricane, except messages. I haven't talked to him.
He's on some hiatus or something.
He's on a mission.
Just
can't talk about
doing his thing.
Yeah,
being Sue. It's hard to be Sue.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Patrick? Matt King.
Something happening next week? Like I heard, it's something going on next week. I heard.
I think there's a thing next Tuesday or something.
Maybe I don't know.
Something.
Yeah.
The future of Western society. I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we'll go live Tuesday night. We'll put it on. We'll be on every platform. I'm going over to Donnie's house, and so we'll do election night live from Donnie's house. That should be
with some of that good internet, as Donnie said.
Some of that good internet, yeah, not that free.
Some of that good internet.
Yes, some of that good internet.
Good internet. Man, where do we
start? How do you fare in the hurricane, Donnie? Because we haven't even been together to talk.
It hit harder here than probably any hurricane that I went through in Tampa. We lost probably about 20-25% of our shingles. So they sent a crew of guys, little short guys that were all crawling on my roof, like Christmas with Santa. So I was going to put out tacos and milk, and just I didn't know. But they so my roof's covered with a bunch of tarps right now. We had a new water feature in the backyard for about a day. 18 inches we measured before the storm. We got 18 inches of flooding, but we're up high. But yeah, it was intense. We didn't really have too many power issues, thank God, where everybody else did. I have friends that had for a week and a half didn't have power, so they got a hard course. And I should have listened to you, Don. I should have listened. I
should have listened to you.
You shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, wonder if it was zombies, dude. Then what would you have done? I've sold like 3 AR-15s for Shane. So,
Oh, really? Have you?
In the last 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of be down with the zombie apocalypse thing. I've watched enough of that. I think as long as they move slow, not World War Z zombies. Like those World War Z zombies, they move really fast. Like those slow-ass zombies is what I'm about.
Other than I have shitty tomahawks, I've got a good zombie.
There you go.
Look at that thing.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Scallywag Tactical, man. Look at that thing. That's a beast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got your Dalton in my truck, Donnie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. We were driving and we got about a mile down. I'm like, where's my knife? And we took the whole car apart. I thought it was in there. Yeah,
I got it. I'll bring it over Tuesday.
But I can't carry the Dalton because you're not supposed to carry a knife you design or make. That's like the rule, the Knife Makers Guild superstition. Like when you give somebody a blade, they got to get a coin or something back.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to carry your own stuff, which sucks because I love the Dalton.
Yeah, it's a good blade.
Yeah, I've always been a rule breaker, though.
Me too. What rules there for?
Don't tell anybody.
I'm like, whatever.
Don't tell anybody.
Just get the Valhalla quicker.
So since Tuesday night is election night, what's your prediction, T? How do you think it's going to go?
This is the last election. I called it pretty close of how it was going to go down. Just by the late evening, I was like, yeah, we're screwed. This is happening right here. This one here, I just don't know. There is so many layers and so many variables of this whole mess. I just saw on X, I can't find it, but somebody popped up a picture of the television screen on one of our, CNN or one of them, and they had election poll at the bottom. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but it had Harris with the numbers, the counts at the bottom of the screen right now. That ain't supposed to be happening until next week. And it was like a whoopsie and clicked the wrong button at the news station. and somebody snapshot it and they stuck it on X. I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling. I really want to say Trump's going to win, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. I think we're going the other direction. I hate to say it. I hate to be that guy, but I don't know. I'm thinking that's the way it's going.
Yeah. Everybody say it was a test screen in Scranton.
Yeah. Check it out on X. I couldn't believe it. I could believe it. I was like, well, here we go. All those undocumented immigrants voting, and there's a bunch of that I've been seeing all over the media.
You mean illegal?
And then, them things, them dudes and dudettes that have their voter IDs already.
Well, yeah, because they're giving them IDs, but you don't need voter ID. That's the whole thing. They don't want you to have ID to vote.
Yeah. Now, Jeff Johnson, there he is. He said ABC 100% reporting Kamala won Pennsylvania by 5 points on the bottom of the screen. And for some reason that popped up this evening on ABC. So,
Patrick over here. My lovely state of Michigan has like 140% of the population registered to vote. 140% of the population.
40%.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think he's going to win the vote, but I think that they're going to pull out all the stops. So they're going to come with something out of left field where he can't be president, or there's going to be a very convenient attack on this country, whether it be international or it be internal. That's going to conveniently trigger a martial law type things or whatever. I mean, they're going to do whatever they can to keep him out. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the latest rhetoric from her, basically calling him Hitler and a Nazi, not even overtly, just is saying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, any feeble attempt to put, and people believe it. That's what kills me. And I have good friends who are like, oh yeah, did you hear what Trump said about he wishes generals were like Hitler? I'm like, says who? Where's the proof? We're like,
man.
And they just say it because there's no journalism in this country anymore. We all know that there's just not any journalism left. Maybe Tucker or a couple of people like that. But my friends, first of all, we're never going to know what's going to come and when it's going to come. Us that have been in this preparedness game for a long time, we always were sure 100 times, right, Chris? Like, like we're positive. But nothing happened. So, when it comes, we're not going to know about it. We're not going to know what it is, but all we can do is.
I agree. It's going to be a quick one.
Good Lord.
I don't know. I think we're going to have a replay of 2020. I think they're going to just blatantly slap everybody right in the face. And I'll be like, yep, we won overnight. All these votes just shot through the roof for Harris.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
My worst fear is a sudden increase in civil violence that they use as a pretext to declare martial law. Then the 25th Amendment Biden out of office and install her as president. That's my fear.
Or they just blatantly take it like last time, and then there's probably going to be some martial law because there will be a whole bunch of craziness going on in the streets, and you still end up with the same result.
With the new DOD protocol.
I just saw that. I was reading. It says here that Harris campaign canceled almost $2 million in TV ad buys, and from North Carolina, and moved them to Pennsylvania. Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
She's moving funds for her campaign to Pennsylvania. I guess that's the spot that they're saying is going to be the discerning factor.
I'd say something real quick, Chris, that I think's on subject, and it's something that really kind of bothered me quite a bit. We all know there's a ton of rhetoric, but all this rhetoric and misinformation on, the white separatists and the white nationals and all that are I would say this: the circles that I run in, that T runs in, that Chris runs in, and our inner circle. If anybody saw these kind of crazy like people, they would come. They would want to recruit us, or even the militias. I haven't heard anything from that. That's so falsely inflated because I haven't met a single white supremacist or racist, and I wouldn't want to know them. Not somebody that at least talks about it. And they've made it out to like this, existential threat to the country. That's pretty scary because, I think us more than the general population would be exposed or at least see or know of these groups and people. And I'm sure they exist on both sides. There's extremists. But I just don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, I don't. What about you,
Boyd Craven in the house? What's going on, Boyd?
It's a nice treat.
Oh boy, crawled into the wire there.
Nice treat.
Just slipped in. There he is, Mr. Boyd Craven.
Yeah. Linemen going on strike and not getting paid in North Carolina. That's weird. That's a union thing there. And then
they said it. Yeah, I just saw that too.
Man.
They stuck their booms up in the air and said they ain't doing no more over there. I guess it's been 8 weeks since they've caught a paycheck. And they said they just can't go any further. They've been sleeping in their trucks and no per diems, nothing for 8 weeks, which if this is indeed what's going on, is there any lineman out there that's working Asheville? Give us the heads up if this is legit. I mean, you can't tell anymore on these videos, but in the video, there's a parking lot, supposedly there in Asheville, all the linemen and stuff stuck their buckets up in the air and said they're done until they catch a check because they can't afford to keep rolling without one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they work hard. That is really hard, dangerous work.
Diana, I'm trying to get the comments. I catch up because I'm reading them all. But Diana Rogers,
you got to commend them though. If it is indeed true that they've had 8 weeks, there's the infamous Sue. But if they've indeed had 8 weeks that they have not caught a check and they've just kept working, I mean, bravo and hats off to them for making shit happen.
Yeah. Yeah, put that up. Put Diana's
look at that motley bunch there. Good night.
Yeah, good Lord. Look what crawled in. You leave the damn door open. What's going on, fellas? How you doing, Sue?
I'm doing good. Sorry we're late. We were trying to make a little bit of a Halloween for some kids over in Waynesville and having a little trick or treat for them tonight for the actual thing. So had a lot of the kids with their flood victims over there doing a little Halloween get together. Trying to bring back some normalcy over there.
Hell yeah.
Right on.
That's good. Let me see here.
What we missed? What do you got?
Oh, we're just talking election shit, Sue. We're kind of going around the horn on what we predict the election night's going to be like. We're going to go live.
When this election's over because I'm tired of getting the emails and the texts asking for $15.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So who's going to win?
Who's the one with the white paint? I don't know who's the one with the white paint going around and changing the Harris to Harry and the walls to balls. I don't know who's doing that. Harry Balls.
Gee, I couldn't imagine who might be up to some shit like that.
You should have raised your hand up, had paint all over it, white paint all over it.
That would have been,
put it on your face.
Let me keep his hand down. Yeah, we're all garbage people. That's right. We're all garbage people. I might have to look on Twitter to find that image from Pennsylvania TV station because that's freaking hilarious. That they are the Pennsylvania TV station that put up the thing that shows Kamala winning Pennsylvania by 5 points. ABC in Pennsylvania.
It was ABC. ABC is what Jeff said popped up there. Yeah, man, mind blowing. That's how I think it's going to go down. It's going to be and there's on X there's the guys there in the parking lot too that's going. They say they're striking the linemen. So
no shit.
Man,
perfect.
What a train wreck.
Yeah.
Electile dysfunction.
Electile dysfunction 24.
I like it.
Nice. Yeah.
You
That's
suffer
what's gonna
from
be.
erectile dysfunction.
I'm just curious as to how they're going to cheat. I'm curious to see what they do to how they can try to justify it, pull it off. Like it's going to be so over the top cheating, it's going to be retarded. So I'm curious to see what they do.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be some people die from people getting into it over these election things. Crazies, on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm going to vote tomorrow. Joey and I are going to vote tomorrow. Because you can't carry at a voting, and I do follow the rules, and it'll be madness. And if there is any kind of risk of anything, I'd prefer to avoid it. So, we're going to do the early thing.
Yeah, we're going to be voting tomorrow
Nice.
as well. We're going to vote tomorrow to get it out of the way as well. Do it early.
Yep. I believe same here. I think Amber just voted today. I believe I'm gonna go out tomorrow and do it and see if it'll make a difference.
I could go try to vote
That's
twice. And I am Don El Donto, and I'm here to vote. I'd have no ID. Watch me walk away. See if I get again. I don't know. Who knows?
That's too funny.
What we got in the
Anyway,
background there, Sue?
I just heard this morning that 40% of the registered voters in North Carolina have already voted.
Yes.
My wife
40?
and I being two of those, but we've already voted. And it
Good
looks
for you.
like from right now, it looks like the Republican Party is up by a few points in North Carolina in the
Really?
for the early voting.
Now, heard the same.
Well, I mean,
Well,
with
let's
this
hope it stays that way.
administration,
I'm unaffiliated. I'm one of those independent voters, but I know that I voted. I actually voted Republican this year.
good.
Just
Yeah, North Carolina's up until 3 a.m. when all the big duffel bags come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah, when they stop counting is when their numbers increase, when they stop counting.
Bags.
Right.
You want that Elon money. Yeah. Yeah, this one here, Diane, I saw this up there. Her daughter's overnight poll Dropbox watcher and caught a guy stuffing the box. Took pics and turned it
I
in.
hope your daughter whooped
Stuff in
him
the
like
box?
he owed her money. I hope she just beat him stupid.
Yeah. Where they boarded up the windows and lit and kicked everyone. Oh, nice, Patrick. Jesus. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they try to cheat to try to make it look like they're not cheating. That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Actually, 62% of the vote is in for North Carolina, Sue. There you go. Spoke to
62.
Wow.
well, this is
Were you
our
able to-
first podcast. This is our first podcast in a month, so
Yeah.
I got my friend Troy here, my neighbor, and he's the guy that fills in and doing RSO classes for Emory. So he's Emory's replacement tonight, and
All right.
he and I have been dealing with nothing but hurricane relief recovery operations since we haven't had a day off since basically 3 days D+3 after Helene. But Chris, you and Donnie had Helene and Milton to deal with. How are you guys doing down there?
Donnie took it a little worse than I did. We were fine. We were without power for a couple of days, but that was it.
Yeah. 50 miles further north, it'd have been a different story for Tampa, coming in the Bay. But yeah, it was definitely a succession of interesting times coming through. Just watching the people. The funniest part when you live in Florida and you're around hurricanes all the time, and I know Chris can back me up on this, is just people watching people with gas at the stores, buying toilet paper still like it's COVID and paper towels, like that's their priority. But Joey took pictures of the shelves at Target, just completely bare with canned goods and various different things. So just a wee taste of what might come. Skoosh.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I've been working a lot of these drop-off centers around here, and it's insane how many people are still coming through there just loading up. Like and they're hauling mobile homes all over the place. There's a place here in Wilkesboro that they receive a bunch. Actually, they're doing 3 states, but mad frantic. Like you'll set stuff up, and they have to keep a lot of this stuff. I had to bring some of this stuff to the back door because people would just like fly in and just take it all. They'd be loading their carts up with 10 of everything. They don't even need it, but it's just everybody lose their minds, and it's they just come in and just ransack everything. So even at these places where they're trying to help people, a lot of times they have to do it in a real secretive and structured way, bringing stuff in the back door, or people just come in and it's basically like watching them loot a store out.
Really?
Everybody just runs in and takes everything.
Meter that out to people, like
they do. That's why they have to. They don't do it with like used clothing and stuff like that. But if you bring in toilet paper and their toilet paper and things like that, toilet paper towels, baby wipes, baby formula, they'll just come in and snatch it all up. So they have to hand it out appropriately to spread it out, or they just. And of course the thieving. Are you seeing a bunch of that, Sue, with people stealing generators and things like that? There's a bunch of that going on here.
Well, and that's the breadth of it. So for our viewers, I will say this: Troy and I live in Jackson County, which is the Silver Cherokee area, and just the town next to us. We were pretty much spared any kind of damage. We had some road closures, but any kind of huge damage or trees down or rivers overflowing, Jackson County was kind of spared of that. But the next county over, Haywood County, Waynesville, where it starts all the way over to Boone and the Boone Banner Elk area. So we're talking a width of this storm being 160 miles wide of destruction, pure destruction. So you get over in Nashville and everything, all the trees are down. Troy and I are trying to do the same thing, is get the stuff from those relief centers. And we've been bringing a lot of it in from outside counties through the Special Forces Association, Special Forces Charitable Trust. We've been delivering generators and heaters to people that aren't going to have electricity until mid-January. There's still a lot of people more towards where T is at in Yancey County, Mitchell County, above Asheville, Bat Cave. I think they finally did get a road into Chimney Rock. These people won't have power until mid-January, so we're trying to at least keep them warm, get them warm supplies. They're putting propane heaters and kerosene heaters in their houses, and they're not leaving their houses if they have a house left.
Right.
Several people lost everything.
Yeah.
And Troy and I turned my house into what was called FOB LaRue. It's not really FOB. It's like a B Team Plus, but we had a great group of young Americans, great Americans here, mostly active duty and retired Green Berets and soft type people that just took pass or took leave, and on their own time, they came out to our house, my house. We had a tent set up outside, a big tent, and we had we had 54 people here the first weekend.
30 Green Berets, around 15 Rangers, and then some dudes came in with drones and stuff.
Yeah, we had the cattle out of my pasture. We set it up as an HLZ. We never used it as an HLZ, but we had I think the biggest disappointment to me is all the rumors on social media. And Troy was the scout. I was basically the B Team Sergeant Major, if you will, trying to just support, get everybody fueled up, do a little bit of planning, a little bit of reconnaissance. Troy was the scout for all the guys. He's the local guy. He let him into places, but Troy will tell you there's just a lot of places they were chasing rumors, and they say, oh, we have 700 people stranded in Flat Rock. And I was just like, well, just 2 days ago I was over there. I didn't see that. Well, Troy took 20 Green Berets out there with supplies and ATVs and ready to save the day. and it was an old lady with a fence down in an HOA.
It was a golf course that had a tree across the road, so there was 700 people stranded. They didn't have a way out to cut the tree.
Yeah,
Some of the
practically
same
cut the
stuff
tree out of
during
the road.
Ash.
I'd like to
They
see
weren't
Yeah,
this.
same
stranded
deal.
anymore.
Keep in mind, this was like a 4-hour debrief, like people on the phone panicking, right? And they
Oh my God.
they ended up spending hours, like getting locals on the ground, supposedly, right? On the ground. Anyways, these guys are calling in. They're throwing a fit, emotion everywhere. I don't know who the other people were, but I think they were part of.
Yeah, they were
Anyways,
donors. Anyway,
yeah,
they were crying that they only have 48 hours to live.
Yeah.
They're gonna die pretty soon. And I was like,
This is
48
8 days after the flood. And I mean, they called in so many favors. Get everybody out there. We get the thermal drones out there. Everything. Come to find out, it was a tree down. And I mean, they were stranded, but it was just a tree down. Like, cut the tree.
Well, that is an emergency
I
with
don't know
most
where they
people
get
these
their
days because most don't own a chainsaw.
Well, around
Yeah.
here, pretty much everybody does. So it was the wildest thing, and the rumors just kept happening. For example, Sandra, I heard a lot of gunfighting in North Carolina. Ain't seen nothing. I mean, there was a lot of open carrying happening, right? Because of the looting.
Which
Once
means
again,
there
the
wasn't
looting-
a lot of gunfighting because of open
Right.
carry. Right. Now we had the same
Exactly.
thing with Ash. There was a lot of people that did need help, but there was a lot of stuff going around that wasn't even true.
No, the rumors
same
that
shit.
went beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Social media is not your friend in a situation like this.
Dude.
No.
No.
Oh, Chuck with Homestead Medical. Chuck, where are you heading out to next week?
I will say one thing. Somebody was talking. One of our fans, I can't remember who it was telling me, "Hey, I think it was my daughter." She was saying the last time I saw you on a podcast, you were talking about cryptocurrency, and I was like, "Yeah, that's not going to work so good because for 7 days after the storm, it was cash only around here. We had no internet, we had no cell phones, we had no power, and we had gas trucks coming in off of 74, which took Troy and I 3 days to convince everybody that route was open because social media had 74 as having a mudslide on it, but that was way to the east of us over by Hickory, where, of course, where T lives, and it was not on this side. So we could have brought lots of supplies in 3 days earlier from Chattanooga, from Knoxville, just go down to Cleveland, come up 74. But we couldn't convince people that there was open. So if anybody took a ding, it was all of my military friends, have been all over the world doing this. They did not rely on actual reconnaissance. They're breaking patrolling principles, right? Remember your four for all of our viewers, the 4 principles of patrolling are planning. We did great planning, security. Of course, everybody's carrying a pistol, or we had long guns in the trucks. So we had security, right? And then they weren't doing their reconnaissance. Or they weren't believing people that actually did a leader's recon. So when that happens, if you don't do your reconnaissance, then you lose complete control. So we had to bring it all back together and say, okay, go back to the Ranger handbook. What's your patrolling principles? That's the way we got to operate. Don't go running out there with a bunch of trucks and a bunch of supplies if you don't know whether these people actually need it. Utility companies were the worst. Bat Cave. They started going towards Bat Cave. Everybody wanted to get to Chimney Rock. It was bad over there. I do got to say that. The winds were really bad over there. Trees are snapped off. It looks entire acreages. I'm talking 40, 80 acres in some places are just all the trees are down, but the skyline actually changed over towards Bat Cave, where entire sides of mountains fell down and took the roads with it and everything like that. The utility companies tried to get in there. Does anybody remember the movie or the operation, the bridge too far?
Oh yeah.
So they head up the road. They head up the road where there was 64 Highway 9, they're all going up there in rows of utility trucks. They come around a curve and the road's been washed out or there's a mudslide, and they say, "Oh, we need the bulldozer up here." Well, you can't turn all those trucks around, and get the bulldozer up there. It was a Chinese fire drill.
Yeah.
Ran into all kinds of issues.
Back to the Bitcoin thing. There was only 2 places. It was amazing. There was only 2 places that had Wi-Fi after the storm here. It was Walmart, which they have their own Starlink system, and Harris Casino. And everything was cash only. So the only place that was giving out cash, Walmart ran out of cash, and Harris Casino kept the cash machines going, and people would have to go to the casino and get cash, or come to guys like Troy and I who had cash, and we were giving little loans. We didn't charge any interest, but we should have. We'd be
No
sitting
big.
fat happy right now. And the gas lines were very long. They were only allowing $30 purchases for fuel, just to make sure everybody had a little bit of fuel.
So, Chris, what is your advice to everybody on election day? Like, should they stay home? I mean, obviously they need to vote. Hopefully they'll vote early. What I know what we're gonna do, but what would you advise? Just lay low?
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna lay low that day. We're gonna go to Donnie's house. We're gonna go live for election night and talk about it. But yeah, lay low and watch, see what happens. I mean, it's gonna. I think no matter how it goes, it's gonna be crazy. So, be ready to be inside. That's my advice. I wouldn't want to be out.
Hunker down for a couple.
I have to go to New York City in the middle of November for a training. I'm a little concerned. You can't even carry a pencil.
I'm concerned whether it was election time or not.
Well,
yeah,
New York City.
I wouldn't want to be there regardless. No, for no reason.
No. Place sucks.
Kind of a work,
especially on election night. I damn sure would want to be there then, but I don't want to be there any day of the week.
No, for
sure.
Well, I look at what we've just been through. Just to cut Chris off there. Sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
What we've just been through is both for Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. I'm sorry. That was to me. That was the scrimmage for the Super Bowl, or that was the pregame, right? So come election night, whatever you do, don't believe half of what you hear on social media. The things that Troy and I just talked about. Don't fall for the rhetoric.
Yeah.
Expose yourself. Get yourself in trouble. That's what my advice.
Oh, hey, before we move away from this hurricane stuff, we got some pictures that Sue sent that we want to show everybody too. So Russ, let's roll that stuff for everybody to take a look at. This is from Sue and Helene. Oh, they're small. Okay. All right. I guess that was the picture. Oh, here we go. They're a little small, but that's some
Creek right there. Garin Creek Fire Department. There's a road called Flat Creek Road just south of that, and that entire area is just wiped. There's nothing. There was
quite a few cars mangled up in there.
Down this road, there's nothing left. It went from being 50 yards wide to 200 plus wide. It just became, what do they call it? A debris field of just washed water, and all the trucks, all the cars, all the houses, septic tanks, everything is just washed down this valley and spit out at the bottom. It is a mass destruction in that area. And that's just one of probably 500 roads that look like that. This is the SFCT. We were trying to navigate up this road at the time. This was a paved road, but there's nothing left.
Hold on. That acronym, Special Forces Charitable Trusts. These are all volunteers, all on their own dime and all on their own time. So that's great Americans. They were doing great things out there.
They are. I was helping them out too, Stu.
On the left-hand side of this picture is where the creek ran. Right there where the truck's pulling up out of was where the water washed the road out, and it rerouted the river. So the river then started to wash all the houses and stuff down through there that were built, 70 yards away from the river, and now the river is in their house.
Damn.
It's nuts.
Go to the
picture,
next one
Russ.
there, Russ.
So this was the first or second night of all the SF volunteers and stuff that were coming in here. This is over on the way to Chimney Rock right here. This road's washed out for probably half a mile.
Wow.
Next, Russ.
Yeah, next one, Russ.
This is what little town is that? Marshall.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Marshall was actually, even the people that didn't get any flood damage, I don't know if it was, and Troy and I haven't been able to confirm whether it was a chemical storage area or the water treatment plant for Asheville washed into Marshall. When we drove through there, we were only allowed to drive at 5 miles an hour, windows up, and even the people that lived 200 feet above the river had to evacuate their homes. The entire town of Marshall was evacuated.
There's a chemical plant, a plastics plant up there. I've got some info on that, Sue. That
that's the rumor
was
we
leaking
heard,
all that
was
shit into the
there's
French
a
Broad
chemical
River.
spill there.
Yep, there's a plastics plant there. Is what it was. And I got an actual location, a hard location on that if you want it. So yeah.
So Marshall was a ghost. We were doing a route recon or a commander's recon in there, a leader's recon to see what we could do for these people in Marshall, and there's nothing we could do because nobody was allowed to live there. They were actually pulled out and evacuated.
Wow. Damn. All right, next
the only people that you see in there are in hazmat suits and stuff.
Yeah.
So where was this? I was in the truck with you. It's where they put the cross up. Last place we went to, near Roan Mountain.
Oh, that's above Bakersville. Not far from where not far from where Avery County. That's Mitchell County, and the water came down. There's two rivers that overflowed there. The big one was the North Toe, and then the Cane River overflowed there. We're still trying to get into Pensacola. I heard that there's 14 miles of asphalt went into the river at Pensacola. I didn't even know there was a Pensacola, North Carolina, but that town, the only supplies we've got into Pensacola so far have been by ATV and side by side.
Wow.
Damn.
Hey, Sue, have you seen a lot of federal employees or federal agencies getting it done up there?
I have not. We heard the rumors. We heard the rumors of FEMA confiscating supplies and everything. I did meet up with FEMA in Dillsboro, where we had our original warehouse at. I went to the county emergency managers first of Jackson County, Haywood County, and Buscombe County, and we've been doing our best to just avoid FEMA and not get in their way. And we haven't really had any confrontation with them, but they have not. How do I say this without hurting people's feelings? I think FEMA's been overwhelmed, and they didn't realize how much destruction was out there. So they have not been much of a help in Jackson County. They are filling out requests for loans, and a lot of people don't understand this, but FEMA does not give out grants. FEMA gives you a low interest loan, and that's only if you don't have insurance. Well, Troy and I were part of a town hall meeting by Congressman Edwards the other night, and he admitted that only of the affected 25 counties in Western North Carolina, only 1% of the people had flood insurance.
Less than 1%.
So the problem is, I mean, if you live in the mountains, you don't think about having flood insurance, or you don't think about having tornado insurance, and that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a huge tornado and a flood came through here. By the time Helene came up here, it was a mass tropical storm. So
there's actually videos, and I didn't even realize this till probably a week ago. There's videos that people have taken that there was actual tornadoes in the mountains. My whole life, I've never heard of a tornado in the mountains.
Oh,
But there's
Over
videos
in,
of them.
over in Blowing Rock, there's a video of a tornado, a substantially sized tornado just skipping across mountaintops. I mean, it was crazy looking.
well,
I'd
in
rather
Florida,
be a
we get
crazy looking
tornadoes, but they're usually like a dust devil. The tornadoes
Yeah,
in
not
Florida
these.
are very
It's
small.
a,
But
that's
this
a big
last
old
storm,
tornado.
they had a gaggle of them and all the people that died in Florida that I'm aware of perished from tornado and like F2s and F3s, like big tornadoes that you get in the Midwest that you never see in Florida, which was really interesting. I've never seen that.
Yeah, we had a bunch with Milton, bunch of them.
The only / conspiracy theory that I've actually tied onto, most of them are kind of elaborate, and people are taking the conspiracy theory too far, in my opinion. But the only one that I do believe that there is some truth to it is the casualty count. I think they're keeping they say so far that there's only been 84, 85 victims accounted for.
I've heard a whole lot more.
Troy and I have gone to 8 of the 25 affected counties, and of course we hear stories from fire marshals and emergency managers and emergency service people who've picked up the bodies. Troy saw a lot of the bodies there. I wasn't out on the patrols with him that day, but he saw where the cadaver dogs had marked pieces and parts. Remember, these people that got washed away, they're basically in this debris field, and the boulders were coming down the size of houses. So they're in a meat grinder, right?
Well, you see what it did to that vehicle in the first picture. That was a car and like an F-350 or something, right?
Yeah.
So a person's not that strong, right? So it basically blendered everybody that got caught up in it.
Oh yeah,
unfortunate.
Yeah.
So we sat down together. Troy and I just compared stories what was it, 4 or 5 nights ago, and our math comes up with at least 3 times, if not 10 times higher than what the casualty rate is being reported.
So the death count, have y'all heard how they acquire that? It becomes, they have to identify the body, right? Well, identification is pretty hard right now unless they were just a smooth sail down the river and drowned. So the identification has to happen, then they have to notify a next of kin for it to be added to the death toll. Other than that, that's the only thing that we can come up with as why it's not being counted higher, right? Because say they identified 9 bodies, but there's 25 of them that are just chunks.
Mm-hmm.
So they're only going to count 9. And I don't see how they can do that, but apparently that's the curriculum or whatever it comes down to being added to the death toll.
A lot of people up here have a theory that it's because it's, we're so close to the election, they're trying to keep the body count down or the death toll down. But that doesn't make sense to me because, okay, let's say Kamala Harris wins, God forbid, but then they come out with a real number that's gonna hit the new administration very hard for something like that. So if they're doing that and that happens, I don't see how they're going to survive the scrutiny of suppressing that kind of information, like we've seen for the jobs reports and things like that, or the crime, the more recent ones where the FBI admitted that they're not including some of the major cities in the crime rate over the last couple of years. I don't know why they're doing that kind of stuff, but when the truth comes out, it doesn't help the administration at all.
No,
and
it doesn't.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if we're going to get an accurate death toll here because they're only finding the people that are caught in the rubble, right? The ones that are 6 foot, 7 foot deep in Sut, they won't ever be found.
Yeah, they won't ever. Well, here's another example that we found out real quick within, I think it was D+6 of the storm. Troy and I took some of the first supplies to the Veterans Administration shelter. It is a homeless shelter. It is for veterans. Their entire first floor was flooded out, so these guys lost everything. And there's a bridge going across a road called Tunnel Road that goes to the VA hospital there was actually a house sitting on top of that bridge and what was left of the bridge. But they had moved these guys that got flooded out into a Quality Inn motel. And these guys had no clothes. They had no insulin. They were bringing water into the guys. And as far as I know, which is right across the street from Samaritan's Purse or Franklin Graham's Cove. And these guys haven't had, it's been a month. These guys still haven't had a shower because that Quality Inn, all the pipes were torn out by the bridge. So they still haven't had a shower. But when we talk about the rest of the homeless population of Asheville, now these guys were VA, these were veterans, so they did have a place. The rest of the homeless shelter or the homeless people, when it rains that hard, they go under the bridges, which is in Asheville would be the art district, right? Or the park district. And there's huge warehouses down there, or there used to be huge warehouses down there. And these people get under the bridge and try to, all those people are gone. Nobody's accounted for the homeless. There was a bunch of homeless population in Asheville, and nobody's accounted for any of them yet. There used to be probably over a dozen huge buildings down there that were warehouse size. Troy and I drove over that bridge on our first recon. There's one building left. The rest is just foundations. And of course, all those buildings ended up washing all the way down to Marshall, which is the French Broad River, which flows south to north in that area.
Hang on a second.
You're muted there, Donnie. You're muted.
How in the hell did that happen? That's probably good.
I don't know. You're good now.
Sue, the question's for you. The perception by most people is that, there's tens of thousands of people and they're diligently working to dig people out and help people, government, local, state, federal, volunteers. Is that true? Is there a ton, or is it just a sporadic amount of people in there helping right now?
There's so many people that showed up, and I'm not talking about the federal government. I'm talking about the charitable organizations, the church groups and everything. We had so many people show up to help that it's just mass confusion right now. Like T was saying, there's a bunch of drop-off points for supplies. We have more drinking water up here than I seen at the end of the airstrip at Balad in Iraq. We could take the caps off the drinking bottle and have another flood, right? But I think the main problem is there's a lack of leadership and a lack of coordination between these organizations, and that's where we come in. Is we go to these supply points and we're saying, hey, there's still people up over here, there's still people up over there. We started in Haywood County, and it's not hard to find a victim. All you got to do is do a terrain analysis and follow the rivers and the creeks, and you will find flooded out victims or people that are tore up.
That's for you.
I can't read it.
So they want to know, have you heard a accurate number on missing, like the missing list?
Oh, we were part of that town hall. They gave us the number 84 casualties that night and 26 still missing. That has to be very low compared to.
I've heard from an official number of 500 missing a week ago. I was told that the missing was up to 500. And I know that FEMA's going around telling hospitals not to release any casualty counts to the media whatsoever. They don't want to list any. We were in Burnsville a few days ago, me and Mel, and we met with Stephanie Johnson out there, who's been running a relief center since day one, that she set up on her own. And they were told that they were going to do body recovery for 2 more weeks. And after that, they were going to stop any recovery attempts because DOT was coming in to start clearing all that stuff out so they could put the roads back in. And at that point, they will not do recovery, even if they find them, is what they were told. Don't know how accurate that is, but that's just what came out of Burnsville just a couple of days ago when we were over there. So it's kind of messed up if they're going to just stop looking for them and pretend that they don't exist. That's going to cause a problem.
Is there a really big military presence there in the Asheville area that they're talking about on media? Like they're showing from aerial, like just military trucks parked all over the place. I don't know if you heard me or not. Did you hear me say it?
No, you guys weren't hearing? Okay.
Our internet's still sporadic, so everything you guys just said just came in like the teacher on
Ask it again
Charlie
there.
Brown show.
Yeah, military presence. There's they're saying there's huge military presence there in Asheville area. Saying there's huge military presence there in Asheville area.
Yeah. So we have quite a bit here as far as military presence. It's like the National Guard's out here as well as the 82nd, 101st, and then all sorts of active duty and veterans are working around the clock right now.
Yeah, the
All right.
100.
So-
We did read the warning. We read the warning orders for 3rd group and 5th group who are trained in humanitarian. All we've been treating this as is a humanitarian assistance mission. They did stand up a company of 3rd group and a company of 5th group to come from Fort Campbell and from Fort Liberty, they call it now, Fort Bragg. But as soon as the 18th Airborne Corps and General Donahue came into Asheville with 82nd, a contingent of the 82nd and contingent of the 101st, those special forces companies were told to stand down. We actually read the warning order for them. They were told to stand down. I don't know why, but I do know that 18th Airborne Corps was OPCON or has to report to FEMA. So General Donahue had to report to FEMA. The initial reports we were told, and we denied this rumor, is that the 101st and 82nd were just driving around Asheville and the suburbs to stop the looting. That it was not true. As far as we could tell, they weren't even carrying their M4s. They were going around neighborhoods, and they were the guys who were going into the neighborhoods and ripping the drywall off that was getting covered in black mold and everything. So those active duty soldiers were working their butts off all day long, every day.
So we got a question over here from Brian about comms. I know that I worked with another guy, Bob Lester is a good dude, and we took a couple pallet loads of Balfangs up in the Burnsville and handed them out to people. Let's talk about comms back in there, because you guys were in the mountains, doing stuff and running ops up there, about the lack of communication capability up in there. I mean, people have no way to reach out, unless they had radios, of course.
Yeah, and you're going to slap me for this one, Chris, because I told you this last summer that I bought an ICOM ham radio, a hand radio, and
Yeah.
I've been trying to study every morning, but because I was a commo guy, I've been trying to study for my license, and I would get bored. That ICOM radio, base station radio, is still sitting in the box over there, and I was like, what an idiot I was. Because the only communication that we're working up here in the mountains were the ham radio operators. Like I said, Troy and I went to the emergency operations center of Jackson County, Haywood County, and then Buscom County. And nobody, all three of those guys at the emergency operations centers, all those different counties, nobody had any communications whatsoever, not even 911 service.
They wasn't even sending a runner.
Yeah.
They just decided that they would rather not know what's going on in the next county.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean,
And
we talk about comms all the
especially in
time. But,
mountains.
yeah.
You have a cell phone tower every 6 miles, right?
Yeah.
And of course, when those winds came through, especially in Buscom County and Haywood County, when those winds came through or those landslides happened, those cell phone towers came down. Well, what's on the cell phone towers? The relays for all your UHF and VHF for all of your emergency services, whether it be police, sheriff's department, or EMS medical stuff. So ambulances couldn't talk, deputies couldn't talk, local police couldn't talk to each other. Even with their handheld radios, they were having a hard time talking to each other.
Yep.
The only thing that was working was line of sight until Starlink started coming in here, and we were promised a bunch of. I don't even want to get started on the Starlinks issue, but we did get a bunch of Starlinks issues come in here from different organizations and different charities, And once we started getting those up, we started to get some kind of communications back.
Starlink is
Peoples is
fantastic.
heading down with Bob Lester this next week too.
Bob's a good guy.
Awesome.
He like I said, he took two pallets, I think it was, radios in there, and I sent him a bunch of money to help pay for them because somebody's got to
awesome.
pay for these things. And he handed them out, and there's a bunch of them. So since we're getting close to the end, let's kind of go around the horn here. Everybody here was affected to one degree or another by the storms. And what takeaways you got from these storms and, against your preps in general? We'll start with you, T. Like, how'd you guys fare and what would you change or do different?
Yeah. So once again, man, test your gear, right? I've got a generator. It's small. I don't have a full home generator. I didn't want to spend the money because when something happens, as long as my freezers are running, I'm good. I don't care about the rest. It's just not that big of a deal for me. Living in a tent, who cares? I got cold food. That's it. But I decided I was going to hook up the generator to the well pump, and it did that smaller generator didn't have enough to kickstart that pump on. So I was still good because I've got a spring and I've got a pond, and I also have a artesian well that was capped, so it pumps water nonstop. So I can just fill up, crystal clear drinking water. It's a nice setup. But had I not had that and I wanted to pressurize my system, the pump, that couldn't have done it with that generator. So once again, test your gear. Go out there, hook your generator up, make sure it works, make sure it runs what it is that you want it to run. And I know most people aren't going to listen to this when I say don't wait until after the election or during the election to go get some extra fuel, get some food put back. A couple rolls of toilet paper. We don't need 500 rolls of toilet paper. Your ass can't be that big. It just can't. But don't wait until it happens. This is what we see. Yeah. We preach it all the time. It's called preparedness because you do it before it's an issue. All right. So I know a bunch of you out there, you're not going to do it. But I hope a few of you, if you've not done it already, go ahead and go out there, get what you need, hunker down for the election, and test your gear.
Yep. Sage advice. Donnie, what about you? How was your hurricane experience? Anything you changed?
We fared very well. Of course, I always maintain a certain level of preparedness, as I think everybody in Florida should. We knew the storm was coming. That it's everywhere you look. So, literally, I just got some topped off some gas cans and stuff like that. So we fared really well in a residential 0 lot line neighborhood, just watching the people and how they acted. The Ring doorbell, they actually have if you sign up for Ring, then they have like people can post messages like, watch, there's a strange guy walking down the street or whatever. That thing was just lit up with people going, where can I get food? Is there any restaurants open? I mean, what about restaurants? Where can I go get breakfast? In your house. I think it's reasonable and rational for all people, no matter where you live, to maintain a certain level of preparedness and readiness. You don't have to be a doomsday prepper. You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. You don't have to have an arsenal. What you should have is food, the ability to stay warm or cool, the ability to have a little bit of power to recharge your phones and devices so you know what's going on, some basic medical stuff. Most in Florida, I think people are probably a little more prepared than a lot of other states on the whole. But I think it just reiterates, just like with COVID, Chris, and whatever crisis that we've encountered, having that certain level of preparedness, it only hammers at home how important that is for everyone.
Absolutely. Oh, there's Bob Lester in the house. There's the man himself, the guy that was still running stuff down into Burnsville. He took a load of blankets. I think it was the last thing Bob took down in there. He's a great guy, helping the community. He doesn't just talk the talk; he walks the walk. So big shout out to Bob, everybody watching. So T, what would you tell people? I mean, it's hard to, not T, Sue. it's hard to prepare for your entire life being washed away by the river or by the creek. But what would you say for people to prepare, things to think about, takeaways from what you're seeing up there?
Now, I have been accused of being a prepper, but I'm not. I was just raised around the Mormons. Okay. So what my biggest takeaway from this was, and Troy lives near me, we were shocked that Barker's Creek did not overflow, and my house actually sits in a floodplain, and we were talking about that. I've got 500 pounds of food, we got guns, we got ammo here, we've got fuel here. Well, what if everything was taken out by Barker's Creek? So I think my biggest takeaway from this is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Whether you call it a cache or whether you have some family or some friends that are on higher ground, and it's not just flood either. I mean, my house could burn down and I'd have to start all over.
Oh, I can speak to that one. Yeah. Fire will do it too. Yeah. Absolutely.
You've already lived this, Chris, so you know what I'm talking about.
Or you could lose your job.
Take a portion of what your family needs to survive and put it somewhere else, right? And even if you could have 2 different locations where you're actually, your stuff you're storing, a portion of that goes in a different location. So if you lose your main location or you're bumped out of it by marauders, you have a fallback plan. That's the lesson I've learned, and that's what Troy and I plan on doing here in the next few weeks, is just kind of divvying this stuff up.
Smart.
So if something happens, then we have a fallback plan.
I think this has shown too, Chris, that mobility and planning are super important. Everybody wants to prepare and put everything in one, like Sue said, eggs in one basket. But that mobility, having relationships with people where you can go, places to go, maps, like physical maps of places, not depending on GPS. I think that's also critical, because there was this mass evacuation that literally people would leave camp and would be in Gainesville for a day.
I think I lost everybody. All right, we're back. Sorry, my connection's getting wonky here all of a sudden. I don't know what the hell's going on. But on that note,
on some awesome internet.
Yeah, is that free McDonald's Wi-Fi? But on that note, guys, stay prepared, stay ready, because as current times are showing us, you never know what the hell's coming. So our big lesson was on power too. I had a variety of alternative power, and finding out the limits of each one was one of the things we did during this little storm. So I got to make some changes to my stuff too. But I got some video coming for you guys on EcoFlow as I'm building the system that I have here. I've got new batteries to install, and when I do that, I'm going to do a little video and talk about this thing, because I really like this alternative to a generator. Not having a damn generator and fuel. Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate y'all, and you guys know the drill. Be good at it. We'll catch you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Love y'all.
Yeah.